It's easy to get lost in the vast ocean of One Piece games, some of which are now long-lost treasures forgotten to the depths of time. One such game that I found whilst perusing the list of 56 titles was a game that just so happened to stand out to me for some reason, but I couldn't quite place my finger on why. The game I'm referring to is One Piece Grand Adventure. Maybe it was the box art that drew me in, reminding me of the early days of the East Blue arc. It gave me that same warm feeling of nostalgia that I often get from rewatching those old episodes of the One Piece anime. One Piece Grand Adventure originally released in North America in August of 2006, and it would later come to both Europe and Australia in the following months of that year. The game is a follow-up to a previous title that went by the name of One Piece Grand Battle, which released in 2005, and it was essentially nothing more than a fighting game. One Piece Grand Adventure, however, still included everything from the previous game, whilst also adding new characters and features, one of which was the new adventure mode, which would follow Luffy's story up to the end of the Sky Pier arc. You know, the one with Eneru, the guy with the Messiah complex and the weird earlobes. The game was developed by Ganbarion, a Japanese studio who are also responsible for developing many of the One Piece titles we all know and love. It was also published by Bandai Namco and was released for both the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo GameCube. The game was also adapted from the 4Kids dubbed version of the anime, which I'm not really that familiar with as I've only watched the original Japanese version, but I do know that it's a far more censored version that's aimed more towards kids. For example, Sanji has always got a lollipop in his mouth as opposed to the original version where he's just chain smoking his way to an early grave. If you are worried about spoilers, not sure why you would be because this is early One Piece, but if you are, then don't be because the game follows the story very loosely. The events that the game covers make up quite a chunk of the manga. You know, it's quite a lot, but it's been adapted into a very compressed version of events, and some stuff has either just been cut out or changed entirely. One Piece Grand Adventure is a fighting game primarily, and I suppose it does have some light RPG elements sprinkled throughout, like leveling up your character and stat distribution. There's some cool collectibles as well, like these extremely cool glasses. Ooh. There she is, our hefty steed, the Going Merry, or the Merry Go, as it's also known. Whatever you think sounds the least dumb out of the two, I suppose is what you should go with. So as we begin our adventure, you'll notice that there are other options that we have yet to unlock. Once we complete Luffy's story, we'll unlock the story of another character, and the difficulty will be higher for each new adventure that we unlock. I'm not sure who that is. Could be anyone. That's Crocodile. I'd recognize that silhouette anywhere. No idea who that is. So we've got a slingshot and an unfortunately shaped nose. Obviously, this one's Usopp. I love how Usopp's adventure is the highest difficulty out of the 5. We start out with our tiny 2-man vessel and an overhead map that contains various islands for us to visit. Each island that we come across either contains what's known as a rumble battle, where we have to clear the area by fighting multiple enemies, or some random mini-game where we must break a bunch of boxes or take part in a giant duck race. There are also one-on-one character battles that upon completing allow us to unlock new characters to either join our pirate crew or act as support characters. These stages also progress the story further, giving us access to new maps with new islands to explore. In the beginning, I have no idea what I'm doing because, like with many classic games, this one doesn't want to hold your hand in any way. You just have to figure stuff out on your own. So I button bash my way through whilst at the same time I'm accepting the fact that I couldn't land a well-aimed hit if my life depended on it. When we somehow manage to win, we earn experience points which levels us up and allows us to increase our stats. There are 6 stats to choose from: health, attack power, defense, super attack power, support character attack power, and item power. Yes, I haven't yet mentioned that you can use items in the game also. You'll find these lying around the map in treasure chests and boxes. Some of them are pretty overpowered, like this burn blade, which essentially is just a gas-powered lightsaber that sets people on fire. Hilarious, I know. Hey Nami, want to join my pirate crew and be lifelong friends? No? Maybe if we fight, you'll change your mind. This is a recurring theme in the game, and because the main mechanic is to fight our way through everything and not do anything else, then obviously this would be the only way to progress through the story. So we make our friends by fighting, just like we defeat our enemies by fighting. And just like that, we gain our first crew member, Nami, which is different to how it pans out in the official story. Oh look, it's Zolo! Nice to see that the mistranslation made it into the game. Every battle that we take part in has a special set of bonus conditions. It could be that we have to finish the battle with more than 50% of our HP, or that our final hit has to be a specific type of move. If we're successful in meeting the bonus conditions, we can unlock extra support characters who can aid us in battle, or even different costumes that will give our characters a trendy new look. Graphically, I think that the game does still look great. I mean, the characters do have a sort of miniaturized look to them, but for a 2006 game, the animations look really good, and most importantly, the gameplay feels good as well. There's a good level of challenge in the game, and it only gets harder as you get further on, so it really does force you to improve your skills and learn all of the different move combos that the characters possess. And because every character plays differently, the game also has a lot of replay value to it, giving you access to hours upon hours of gameplay. Once we finish the final island on the map, we unlock the Eternal Compass, which will then give us access to the next stage of the story. Luffy's adventure contains 10 maps in total, taking us from the East Blue to the Grand Line, where we go through Alabasta and eventually end up in Skypiea. We encounter most of the main antagonists that are found throughout the anime: Buggy, Koru of the Black Cat Pirates, Don Krieg, Arlong, Crocodile, Carrot, Onion, and Pepper. The developers did a pretty good job of reducing many hours of storytelling into about an 8-hour experience. I guess they didn't really worry too much about cutting out a lot of the story, because this game is clearly aimed towards people who are already fans of the series and already know the detailed stories behind each character and what they represent. Eventually, after about an hour of playing the game, I paused for the first time and come to the realization that there is in fact a command chart that gives you all of the input combinations for all of the different moves. Before this, I wasn't really sure how to do anything other than mash the buttons in the hopes that something cool would happen. Now I can use my support characters, who up until this point were being the most unsupportive support characters imaginable. I can also use super attacks, some of which are great for clearing large crowds of enemies, and I can also use the really cool and amazingly well animated secret attacks. This amazing game just opened itself up and became a whole lot better.
You chowderhead.
Is that what Sanji sounds like in the 4Kids anime? It's like the worst Sylvester Stallone impression I've ever heard. Don't get me wrong, the game is fun, but it does contain a few frustrating moments. There was one point where I was up against the Black Cat Pirates in Django, you know, that weird Michael Jackson hypnotist guy, and he was really hard to deal with. I just couldn't get to him, and the reach and timing of his move was clearly larger and longer than what the animation was showing. Eventually, I did manage to work out the right moment where I could get in and attack him, but he was definitely one of the more frustrating enemies that I had to deal with in the game. Pretty early on in the game as well, you have to go against Mihawk, who's at a ridiculously high level 20. At first, I had no idea how I was going to beat him. I thought it was some kind of cruel joke, but it turns out this was one of the easiest stages in the game, because the conditions are that you just have to run away whilst Mihawk comes up behind you saying, "Here I come," about 1,000 times.
I come.
And then when the time runs out, you win. Good job, Zorro. Oh, sorry, I mean Zolo. There are a few stages like this, and they are pretty easy to exploit if you know where to stand. But overall, One Piece Grand Adventure was a pretty great experience. Luffy's story took about 8 hours to complete. There was a weird thing that happened in Alabasta though. I decided to challenge Crocodile before completing every other stage on the map around him. After I finally beat him and his sandy crack, it triggered the end of the game, which was confusing to say the least. After looking online, I discovered that apparently you have to first beat Shanks, and this will unlock the Eternal Compass to the ship graveyard, and then ultimately lead to the final map of Skypiea. I'd say the ship graveyard is the hardest area in Luffy's adventure, with every stage consisting of a fight against a level 20 character, and they are not afraid to use their secret moves. The enemy AI does seem to have had its difficulty increased for this particular area as well. After a while, I finally make it through by defeating some of early One Piece's most powerful characters, and Kuina, for some reason. Wait a minute, isn't she dead? Once complete, I get my Eternal Compass. The Going Merry grows some wings, and I make my way up the heavenly water spout, eventually ending up in Skypiea. It's here where we face our final showdown with the lightning goon, Eneru. This last fight was a lot of fun. He did end up getting stuck though towards the end, so I just hit him with a couple of gum clomper stompers, and that was the end of that. So here's my final score. My booty collection rate needs some work, but other than that, I think I did okay. So there you have it. That was One Piece Grand Adventure. And for a game that came out all the way back in 2006, and that also has a lot of other One Piece games to contend with, I think it's safe to say that this one stands out as a classic, and I'm pretty sure it will be remembered fondly for a long time. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like it, as it does help me out a great deal. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.